In this short presentation, I'm going to introduce the Advanced Financial Management exam. It is a very interesting exam and a very challenging one too. Let's start by looking at the syllabus. Now, some parts of the syllabus you might recognise from the Financial Management exam if you took that exam. So you will have done investment appraisal before. You'll have done a little bit of valuing potential acquisitions. You'll also have done some currency hedging and some interest rate hedging. And Advanced Financial Management does continue to build on your knowledge, but it takes it up a lot higher, and I think it's fair to say it's going to require a lot more effort. Partly that's because we look at the main capabilities now. Even with the parts of the syllabus that you're familiar with, you're expected to apply your knowledge in a much more sophisticated way to quite meaty, brief case studies that are given to you in the exam. So if we look at investment appraisal, the evaluation that you'll have to perform on potential investments will be at a much higher level than F9 in most questions. Sorry, I used the term F9 there. Of course, that's now called financial management. So as well as looking at the financial attraction of a potential investment, you'll be expected to think about the strategic factors. And again, that's going to draw on topics that you've studied in earlier papers as well. And sometimes, in fact, normally, these investments are going to be overseas, and therefore they're going to incur currency issues, currency risk. Acquisitions, as well as valuing them, you have to evaluate whether it's a sensible way forward for the company. You'll have to think about how the acquisitions are going to be financed. And risk management, the final of the syllabus areas that you'll have seen before in the financial management exam, well, that really emphasises derivatives, futures, options and swaps. And those are areas that you only touched on in the financial management exam. Here, this is where the real focus is. Now let's turn to look at the areas that you won't really have touched on in the financial management exam and are new at this level. First of all, Syllabus Section A. This is looking at the role of the senior financial advisor, and if we look at the detail, analysing financial decisions, but not only thinking about shareholders, also thinking about the impact of financial decisions on other stakeholders, and being aware of international financial institutions. So you're going to have to know, what does the IMF exist for? What's the function of the World Bank? And there are others too. So you have to have a good broad understanding of what you're trying to achieve as you manage a multinational business and the interest of different stakeholders that you're trying to balance off. The other area that you won't have looked at before in the financial management exam is the idea of corporate reorganization and reconstruction. And this is giving advice on whether a company should change its business structure, should it demerge, should it spin off a part of the business, should it go for a management buyout or a management buy-in, or should it restructure its financing and take on more debt or less debt. Very often the financing and the business restructuring go together. So already you should be getting a feel that this is a very big syllabus, and it is, and it does take a great deal of effort to master the topics in it. You'll have to work hard at this paper, but it is rewarding and it's relevant as well. And it's particularly relevant to senior business management. These are useful skills to have. As we've mentioned, this is going to build on other exams, principally financial management. But we've already said that it's going to take it to a much higher level. And the ultimate objective here is that you can give good advice as a senior financial leader, which hopefully you aspire to be one day as perhaps the finance director of your business. You can make good, well-informed decisions about how a business should manage its finances. This paper is as much about management as it is advanced finance. So this is a 3-hour and 15-minute exam. It is very numerical, approximately 50% of the marks for numbers. You have to develop a really sound, high-level capability in all of the key parts of this syllabus, because if you don't have any numbers, it is very difficult to have a meaningful discussion. There's little need to remember formula. That's one of the good things. You're given a comprehensive formula sheet, and that's great. That'll be really helpful to you. Now, as I mentioned, this is as much about managing, giving advice on managing a business, as it is on demonstrating your financial knowledge. And the exam's structured to test your ability to use your knowledge, not just recite it. This exam is meant to be pitched at a master's level. And to do that, the examiner will give you 3 questions. They're all compulsory. The question in section A is a 50-mark question, and this is a case study question, typically a couple of pages long, and you have to apply your theory, your understanding, to solving a practical problem. It could be whether to acquire another company, whether to invest overseas, and those are 2 common scenarios. Then you're given some mini scenarios in section B, 2 25-mark questions. As of September 2018, there's no choice in section B. If you're looking at past exams, it's important to be aware that in past exams there was some choice. These are mini case studies for the other 50 marks. Similar skills are tested. Now, since September 2018, the examiner has said that the exam structure will change slightly. Sections B and E, if we just look back to these, section B is Advanced Investment Appraisal, and section E is Treasury and Risk Management, so that's currency hedging and interest rate hedging. These are picked out as being 2 particularly important areas. And we're told that every exam will have questions which focus mainly on those 2 areas. So you can go into the exam thinking, section B, section E, I've got to be all over these sections, and that's going to give me a really good starting point in 2 of the exam questions. And that's really helpful. And it means that despite the lack of choice in the exam, all the questions are compulsory, you've still got a little bit of guidance about the key skills that are going to be needed. Now, of course, we're not suggesting that you should question spots and go into the exam only being, really expert at sections B and E. The exam's structured to test that you've got all of these main capabilities. It's really important, especially if you're studying this paper over a short period of time, that you put in a great deal of effort into syllabus coverage. Technical knowledge is the bedrock of this exam. And then applying your knowledge, you can practice nearer the revision phase, but you've got to get to grips with the whole syllabus. Now, to help you with that, the ACCA offers some excellent technical articles which you can use to supplement your revision as you work through the text and the notes for this paper. This is a great paper to have chosen, but it's very challenging. And from the beginning of your studies, you need to put a great deal of effort in to get some early mastery of the skills and to practice using them in the practice questions and exercises that you'll find throughout your course. Good luck with the exam. It will be challenging, but I hope you have fun with it.